Hey, what's going on? It's Jeremy here. This is AFO Radio. You are hanging out with me all the way till 2 p.m. And do you like board games? Are you a fan of board games? But do you also like video games? Have you ever thought, wouldn't it be great if we could play board games based on popular video game IPs? Then if that's ever been a thought that's crossed your mind, you'd be very excited to know that there is a Metal Gear Solid board game that is currently open for pre-orders. The game will cost 110 USD, which works out to be about, I don't know, 400 or 500 ringgit. And word on the street is, it's a pretty good game. In fact, what's really cool about this one is that the game is feels like you're playing the video game itself. In the Metal Gear Solid, the board game, 1 to 4 players make their way through a 14-mission narrative campaign. Playable characters include Solid Snake, Meryl, Grey Fox, and Otacon. And the moment-to-moment action directly mirrors the action of the beloved third-person action game. So you sneak through hallways of secret military installations, knock out unsuspecting guards, all the while making your way through the objective. So it's very cool. Combat takes inspiration from the original Metal Gear Solid. Moving generates noise gives up position, so you use it to your advantage to set up ambushes, but if you get sloppy, then you get dogpiled on, right? So pretty good stuff. So definitely, if you're interested and curious, check it out. Now, I, for one, would get this and play it if I had friends to play it with. And I don't have that many friends. So maybe you can play it and invite me over for a game. All right?
On air everywhere.
Are you ready?
And now, also on Shock and Get Play. AFO Radio.
And there is a new update for Instagram that just rolled out, and the first person to use it is Olivia Rodrigo. Now, what is this new update? Well, you might know, and you might have done it yourself, where if you post an Instagram, like a grid thing, where there's like a picture or whatever on your grid, you can add music to it. But that was only for singular pictures. Now, though, if you're doing a carousel, which is like that slideshow of like multiple pictures or videos in like one post, you can do music for that too, which is kind of cool. Now, this feature was actually used by Rodrigo earlier today, who used it to unveil her new song, Bad Idea, right? So now you can add the song of your choice to the carousel post or multiple photos or videos, which is similar to how you can add it to stories or reels. Now, overall, I think this is kind of cool, but as somebody who's been around on the internet for a very, very long time, adding music to your posts or your page really does feel like a throwback to MySpace. And if you don't know what MySpace is, get off my lawn, kids. Anyways, Instagram is also going to be releasing a handful of new features. The first will allow followers to have a new incentive to make reels. When a fan uses the Add Yours sticker to make a video based on a prompt, they will have the chance to be highlighted by the original creator or artist, which is kind of nice, right? So then when a creator selects a submission to be highlighted, the video then appears on the top of the landing page, showing other reels stemming from the sticker prompt. Creators can pin up to 10 reels to highlight, and fans will get a notification if their video is selected by the creator. This will be an interesting way to have like a bit of a two-way interaction, social media content-wise. But I don't know if the trend for content is headed in that direction. Either way, it's always fun to have, all right?
Coming to you hot on Shock. This is AFO Radio.
One of the things I really like is when people stress test new devices. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 as a new phone just came out, very popular, lots of people are using it. But I've always wondered about these modern-day flip phones where the screens are effectively one piece over the hinge and it folds. And I've always wondered, like, how long can these flip phones last? Well, a YouTuber has taken the Galaxy Z Flip 5 and basically tested it, folding it continuously for about a week. And we found that the phone eventually gives out after 400,000 folds. That's pretty amazing. Now, 400,000 folds, if you think about it, if you fold your phone for about 100 times every day, so you open and close, effectively, you would be able to use it for like over 10 years, hinge-wise. I mean, let's not talk about like the updates and stuff like that. So it does seem to be a rather sturdy device. I think that's kind of cool, huh? Just to like inform you if in case you're looking for a new phone.
AFO Radio.
I want to get into it, man,
Streaming live. Download the app from the App and Play Store now.
And some pretty big news in the world of science. Apparently, scientists are locking down or getting closer into discovering what they say might be a new force of nature. Currently, there are 4 forces of nature, if you didn't know. They are gravity, that's one force. Electromagnetism is another force. The other 2 forces are called the strong force, which is basically the stuff that binds molecules together. And then the weak force, which is like stuff that breaks stuff down, like radiation. So these are the 4 standardized forces in science. But now they're locking in on a 5th force. They don't know what it is yet. They don't know how it works. They don't even know what to call it. But the reason why they are saying that there is a 5th force is because there are certain subatomic particles called muons that are not behaving in the way predicted by the current theory of subatomic physics. Scientists believe that an unknown force could be acting on the muons, causing it to behave beyond their theoretical expectations. I think that's kind of cool. But you know what? I also wonder, what are we going to be calling this new force? Because, we got electromagnetism, we have gravity, and then strong force, weak force, which kind of feels like they gave up naming stuff. So what's this new one going to be? The Force. for the Jedis. Anyways, that's that. I just thought it was really cool. Don't know how that will apply to us on a day-to-day basis yet, but the world is slowly having more of its secrets discovered, and I'm all for it.
More hits throughout the day. This is AFO Radio. AFO Radio.
It's AFO Radio. You're hanging out with me, Jeremy, on Hangouts, brought to you by Dreamshop, the platform that allows you to pay with points as well as 0% interest installment up to 60 months. And we are entering the segment where we have a guest in the studio. She is Wenxi Choo, director of Nutrigene Modern Sciences. Welcome to the show.
Hi, hi Jeremy, hi all the audiences from AFO Radio.
It's very cool to have you here. And you are a geneticist?
Yeah, we can say so.
That's so I have to say you're the first ever geneticist I've ever met.
Yeah.
I always thought this was a job that I would only ever see in movies. Because in movies you get a lot of scientists and geneticists. To spot one in real life is
You know why? Because we never walk out of the lab, or else we will just stay in the office doing our job, So it takes a lot of courage for us to walk out and to speak to people. Yeah.
And we're very glad you stepped out of the lab and the office to join us here today to talk to us about, of course, Nutrigene Modern Sciences. So I want you to explain. I kind of have an idea of what you do because we're doing the show. But if for the benefit of our audiences, could you explain what Nutrigene Modern Sciences does?
Yeah. So basically, Nutrigene, we do DNA tests for children. Okay, but our background is actually we are a group of scientists, like how you say. Okay, a group of scientists. We have geneticists, and then we have laboratories. So basically, we supply a lot of tests or laboratory services, we call that, to hospitals and clinics. Yeah, so Nutrigene is actually one of our, just one of our brands that we do. And then we focus on DNA testing for children. And then back end, we have education for parents and children both.
So DNA testing for children sounds like just DNA testing in general. I've also noticed that there's generally been a little bit more of a conversation in terms of DNA testing for just the general people and all that kind of stuff. Whereas before, whenever I used to hear DNA test, it was always about solving a crime or whether or not the kid is my son or something paternity tests and all that kind of stuff. So what's happened in the recent couple of years where this has just moved in this direction?
Yeah, so basically last time, in maybe 30 years back, okay, when we talk about DNA tests, nobody talks about this. So I think in 2003 okay, then when the world, okay, we completed the one project called the Human Genome Project, we call it the HGP, is where the world, maybe they launch a project like that, and then they say all the geneticists, you can publish all your findings, your research findings on this platform. We call it the NCBI. Yeah, so everyone can access to all the informations. Else, right, the progress will be so slow because they have been already doing it for the past maybe 40 to 50 years, but they cannot actually get a lot of results, informations. So when this HGP is completed, so all the scientists around the world will get that information.
Right.
And we know this gene is actually related to this. Yeah, that's how it started.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very cool stuff. So it's almost like suddenly the world came together
Yeah.
and like worked together for the betterment of humankind.
Listen to us live.
I love it.
AFO Radio.
And I'm here today with our Wenxi Choo, director of Nutrigene Modern Sciences, a company that's on a mission to make DNA testing affordable and accessible to help parents identify their child's natural talents and aptitudes. So this is the thing. So we've established that you are a geneticist and you hang out in labs, and we got you out of the studio today to talk about like DNA testing for your children. Interestingly enough, we also talk about how it's a relatively new phenomenon. Why would parents want to test their kids' DNA, aside from finding out whether it's their own kid?
Yeah, so when people talk about DNA tests, we only look at paternity tests, like, whether it's biological, yeah. So for us, okay, it's slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so parents will do this kind of DNA testing other than clinical. Clinical is where when we are sick, and then, a doctor have to give you a letter, and then you go and do, basically it's diagnosis, means you have some kind of diseases.
Right.
But for now, what we're doing is actually, once the child's born, 20 days old, okay, we can use their Barker cell, just like saliva or bucket cell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we use that Barker cell, and then we can go through the testing already. So parents can find out on like their child's, like potential health risks, okay, like carrier status, drug sensitivities, like which drug they will have, like, side effects.
That's so interesting, though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think like the health risk thing, I think it makes sense to me from like okay, yeah, your genes can indicate like what your health risks are. But for career aptitudes, that one feels like we're entering a little bit of the realm of magic a little bit.
Yeah, so like just now when I show you about that, then everyone will be like, oh, really? Yeah. So we also look into, the child's personality and behavior.
Mm-hmm.
So that is because we look into the genes. If you have these genes, basically, let's say we look into resilience, whether you can handle stress or not.
Right.
If you have these genes and some particular, variations, you can handle stress. If you
Right.
don't have, you cannot.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's basically like that, like in layman term.
Right.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. So then on the spectrum of like nature versus nurture, then like as a geneticist, and this is like your line of work, like where do you sit on this spectrum? Like how do you personally feel about it?
Okay, for my personal experience,
Yeah.
So initially, because when I was in, like the genetic nutrition field, so when I look at like your talent, you can see me really, even I myself doubted.
Right.
But when I go into like studies and research, then I found out, really leh, then because when we generate one report and all the tests, okay, we have to run through a lot of samples, and then we ourselves is actually the lab rats lah. Okay, so when I go through my reports, I actually have music aptitude. Like musical abilities.
Right.
That's why when I grow up, like I listen to music, all the tempo, rhythm, all I can catch very, very well. But my parents didn't know about that.
Right.
So when I was young, my mom tried to send me to learn like piano, but it was so boring at that time because I want to go skating you know lah. Yeah. So my dad just said, hey, if she don't like, then no need lah.
Right.
So this talent, then it didn't actually benefit me like throughout my life. Yeah.
So like you had an aptitude for it, but it wasn't like nurtured. Like I guess that's the thing.
Yeah, it wasn't nurtured.
So this obviously. So then these DNA tests obviously are for the parents who truly want to like know and understand their kids, and like like program their upbringing. Like let's get you optimized, right?
Yeah, it's actually two things lah. Okay, I want to know my kids, and I want to program them. Okay, or I want to know my kids. Okay, and then I want to just help them. Yeah, so like just like let them to go with the flow, that kind of thing.
That's very, very cool stuff. And so the process for this DNA testing, how does it work? From like if I were to purchase like, okay, I want to get some kid DNA tested. How does it work? I was like, go to the website, dreamshop.com, I order it, and then like, what happens then?
Yeah, normally now we have our website, but we still give parents like pre-test consultations.
Okay.
Basically, they can just go to our Facebook, PM us, or like our website, they PM us, and then we have slot for them to choose to go through a pre-test consultation with us. Because as for our people, okay, they don't have that much of awareness or understanding for what's actually happening, So we have this pre-test consultation to understand what's your kid's, condition, and how can we advise you whether really or not you need to do this. Because some of the condition you do DNA test also we cannot help.
Right.
So we will just tell them, cannot. Yeah. So they will go through a pre-test consult, and then we will let them go through the DNA testing. In the whole Klang Valley, we have our, like genetic consultant to go up to your doorstep.
Oh, wow.
To pick up the buccal cell from your children.
Wow.
Yes.
So it's like a door-to-door kind of like experience.
Yeah.
And obviously the testing process is painless. It's very simple. And how long before you can get your results?
So after we got the samples, then we will go through like QCs and all. It takes around like 18 working days. Then they can get their soft copies.
That's pretty fast.
Yeah.
Are you ready? AFO Radio. AFO Radio. Broadcasting live from One Utama. Check it out.
So we've talked about like a little bit about the process of and some what the results are, but in terms of the kind of testing, are there different types of tests that the company does, or is it just like a one size fits all? There's only one test and you're done already.
No. We actually have three different tests. Okay, one will focus on the genetic health, like the very common one, and then another one will be like health and wellness to look into like nutrient needs, food and dietary sensitivities, and the overall well-being. And then we have another one is to look at the career talent. This is basically to discover on the child's personality, behavior, and then the academic and artistic talent, and then sport talent, that kind of thing. So we have a lot of different kind of tests. That's
so interesting though. And like aside from the different types of tests and different types of products, we've been talking a little bit on how the company also offers classes as well for parents. So that sounded really interesting because it just sounds like you're taking things beyond the lab a little bit.
Yeah, so like from Nutrigene, what's so different is because not just that we do like DNA reports, how many reports I have, but we take it to another level that parents can consult one-on-one with our genetic nutritionist, psychologist, like child behavioral therapist. And then we also have monthly classes for parents. So these monthly classes basically will teach parents on like, not me lah, okay, the educators and the psychologists, they will teach parents on like, okay, how to educate your child. Is your parenting style suitable for your child? There's no right or wrong in parenting,
right,
but whether it's suitable. Yeah.
And then hopefully with the classes you can make adjustments and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
That's very, very cool stuff, man. Like I'm quite fascinated with the whole like I said, it does sound a little bit like magic with the whole genetic testing thing, I gotta say. So in terms of the company and how things are going, like are there any future plans and programs? What's next?
Yeah, so we started off in Malaysia, okay, but we have a lot of customer base in Singapore.
Okay.
So we are actually going to the Singapore Expo this month. Okay, next week lah. Okay, some advertisement Okay, 18 to 20.
Okay.
18 to 20th of August. Yeah, next month. So we will expand this whole thing to Singapore and a lot of other regions in Southeast Asia.
That's fascinating stuff. DNA testing for your kids. Like, do you guys do DNA testing for adults?
Yeah, but only for the parents who did our test.
Just to
children.
like compare the results.
Yeah.
Fascinating stuff. Also motivation enough to have a kid.
Streaming live online. www.onafo.my.
So we've talked a whole bunch about testing, what the process is like, what the results are like. So the next question is, what is the price range for DNA testing? It's a important question.
Yeah, so a lot of people, when they come to PM us, it's like, pricing? What's the package? Yeah, that's the main thing. Because DNA test in our impression, it costs like 5 figures, like 6 figures or up to that. So it's not something cheap, yeah. So for us, we're saying like making it affordable and, like for everyone. It's not just, like reducing the price, okay. So our tests range for like 2,000 plus to 3,000 plus, okay, and then we don't really charge for the back-end services, unless you want. We have educators to go to your doorstep to teach your child, okay, but unless you want that, so normally it's from like 2,499 to 3,899, but with Dreamshop, now it's affordable.
Dreamshop.com.my. Yes.
Yeah, so they get up to like 60 months installment. So it's like maybe like 50 ringgit per month, less than that. Yeah, like 30, I think 30, right? 30 ringgit per month, less than that. Yeah, and then you get the complete whole package that can close the loop for your parenting, for your child development. Yeah.
Very cool stuff, and that's the kind of knowledge that will last a lifetime, really, when it comes to you and your kids. Very, very cool stuff. Well, thank you so much, Wenxi, for coming in and hanging out with us and sharing with us about the services.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Jeremy.
It was a pleasure, and if I ever have a kid, I will hit you guys up.
Playing the hits you love.
Hey, I'm Ed Sheeran.
I'm Justin Bieber.
Hey, this is David Guetta. AFO Radio.